Okay, now today I'm going to get into a postcard that a lot of people, they don't really like them. They call them fake postcards, or they're just not as collectible, but they're coming around. And what is that? Linen postcards. That'll be the special topic for today. What sold? I sold 45 cards, a $260 day. I sold 30 cards to one gentleman in the United Kingdom, and I'll go through those cards throughout the video. And then in the viewer comments, I got about 3 comments to go over at the end of the video, and one of them I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think about the cost of goods sold and the inventory methods, especially going into 2022 this year, the first of the year, and stuff like that. But I have an update on those lunch boxes I showed, the Welcome Back Kotter and the $6 Million Man lunchbox I showed in the last videos. I sold the Welcome Back Kotter lunchbox, $110. I listed it, and less than 2 hours later, a gentleman paid full price, $110. Didn't even have the thermos. So when you see those lunch boxes, that's what they call a bolo. Be on the lookout for. So that's for non-postcard. People sell postcards and other things, is those metal lunch boxes. But check out our other videos on that. But I did sell that, 110 bucks. I paid $100 for both of them. So I'm already $10 in profit. That made my day when that sold. I had to double check. That's what sold? Because it usually doesn't sell that fast. But for the cards that sold on eBay, I'll go through some of the individual ones in a little bit. But I wanted to show you what the 30 cards were that this gentleman purchased. So he bought 10 of these. This is the John F. Kennedy CB-67 aircraft carrier. Now this one has a little bowing, but I did disclose that, and it should go out, but that's just the way they were stored over the years. But it's a chrome card, so he bought 10 of these, and then he bought 10 of the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier, so he bought 10 of those, and then he bought 10 of the other photo of the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier, and this one's got a little weight behind it. 10 of those. So about 30 cards and only 3 different cards. And I have tons of these cards. I still have probably 100 or so each of these cards left to go. So I just went over to my box, I found the number, picked out 10 cards from each one, and then these will get packed up in individual sleeves and put into an international mailing to go over to the United Kingdom. So I appreciate that on there. And some of the, a couple of other cards I'll go through here, and then I'll get into linen postcards. So this card was called Misty. I think it's The Storm. I think it's a painting, a copy of like a painting, but it's like a storm in the ocean. It's an older card. It's got a 1-cent stamp box on there. It is divided back. There is a light line going down the middle there, but it does have correspondence and address. So it is from the divided back period. But just the storm. A lot of people wouldn't post this card because there's not a lot going on. Then I sold a couple more naval ship cards. The USS Davis. This gentleman bought 2 of this card here. And this is just plain. It's a lighter card stock on these prints. I call them prints. The club actually has the photos, and they made the postcards, and that's what they sold for years that I bought these cards from. And these are on lighter card stock, but they are postcards because I do have a postcard back. USS Davis, and he bought 2 of those, and these will fit into a continental sleeve. So those those 2 will be shipped out to that gentleman tomorrow. And then the last one before I get into linen, this is El San Juan Hotel in Puerto Rico. Now this person came to me and sent me a message, hey, can I pay Wednesday if I buy this card today? Sure. I put it out there. I think it took a little bit longer for them, but I have a lot of people do that. They go searching through the store, and then I don't have immediate pay on, and then they pay. If it goes a little bit longer and stuff like that, I'll just cancel the order. But I've had people wait 14 days, and they bought 20 cards or so on there. So I have no problem with that. People asking. Now eBay does send them messages, hey, pay or whatever. And I'd always tell them to disregard those messages unless they're right from me. But I'll check base with them after 7-10 days and see what it is, because it does kind of tie up your inventory. But as many postcards I got, I'm not that worried about it, and a lot of people are still shopping, and it's actually worked well for me to be a little lenient on that part of it. It hasn't burned me yet. I maybe canceled 3 or 4 orders this year. People just didn't pay after they said it, but that's normal with the reselling world. Let me do this last card. This is a Hopewell Furnace. This is a reproduction card, 1992 when it was. It does look like it's old, but on the back it says original photograph courtesy of the Hopewell Village National Historic Site. So these are touristy cards on there, but it's the Hopewell Furnace. It's been posted. All these cards sold $4 to $5. But let me get into linen cards. Now, linen cards are not linen. You can't wash them. And I'll get into why they call them linen. And there's a couple of variations on that, on the reasons why. But what is a linen card? So let me put it right down here. Linen postcards are from 1931 to 1950 is the date. Now remember, in the postcard world, those are estimates. It can go a little bit over in the crossover and stuff like that. But usually 1931 to 1950 is the linen period. Now, linen cardstock, that's really where the word linen comes from. The linen cardstock is a heavy paper embossed with a waffle-like texture that resembles linen fabric from a distance. So it's a different cardstock. You can feel the waffle-like texture. I have to feel linen cards a lot to know that, but it's a higher rag count on them, and what it means is it's got more cotton fibers. It's not made of linen, but if you look at it from a little farther, it looks like a linen sheet with the threads. It's kind of where they come up with the word linen. In 1931, the Kurt Tyke Company of Chicago was the first to use this texture. So Kurt Tyke was the first to do this. The texture exposed more surface area, speeding up the drying time. So when you got raised surfaces and stuff, there's more places, for the ink to dry, which allowed to be more colorful dye-based inks to be used on high-speed presses. So they were able to put more colorful ink and dye-based inks instead of the pigment-based inks and stuff, because it's drying faster, it's not running, it's not smearing across the cards. To increase their brilliance, linens were often spot printed with a 5th color, often a light blue. As you can see here, they added a 5th color. They added into the color wheel a blue. That's the most common, and you'll see that linens are more vibrant on there, and that's because of the dyes and able for the fast drying and able to put them in. That's why they look a little fake sometimes when people say that about the linen cards. Even though there were cards printed earlier, only cards manufactured after 1931 are referred to as linens. So they're pretty kind of strict on what a linen is in 1931 in the deltiology world, and that's the study and collecting of postcards deltiology. But the linens ended about 1959 as chrome cards became more popular. It was a lot easier to print those cards. People liked them better. There was a full picture on the front, and so the linens kind of died out. Now, people still had linens and posted them after that, so you'll see postmarks probably after 1959 because of the crossover in the postcard world. Linens were and still frowned on by some collectors, stating they were fake postcards. A lot of times when you go on eBay or places and you see, a lot of 1,000 postcards, no chromes, no internationals, no linens. A lot of people don't want those mixed into their stuff. They don't want to deal with the linens. Most postcard collectors won't deal with the linens or the chromes. Now, I deal with divided back, white border, linen, and chrome. That's my niche. I do the undivided back and RPPCs and stuff like that, but I'm mostly divided back to current. And I don't do the Continental 6x4s unless they're Disney or something like that. But a lot of collectors don't collect the linens, but there is some really neat linens out there, and I'll get into that. Currently, though, linens are starting to come around, and to be more popular, as some of the collectors are starting to understand that linens were a part of postcard history. It was an era. It's defined in deltiology from 1931 to 1950. And so they're starting to come around, just like the chromes, and maybe one day the continentals will come around with their age on there. But linens are slowly but surely coming there. I don't mind listing linens. They don't catch the top dollars, but some of them might. I got two linen cards here that I'll show you, and I just showed one with the blue, but this is a linen card, and a lot of times I can tell from the blue and the vibrant and just the way they look, you get used to them, but a lot of times I gotta feel them, and I'll feel that waffle texture on there. And this one, I don't know if you can see it, but if you looked at this one a little bit farther away, it looks like threads on a sheet, but this is an edge to edge photo. There's no border around it. Most linens will have a border, and this is unposted, but you can just feel the cardstock and the waffle-like texture is what I call it when I feel them. So I just rub my fingers on it. Now there are some linens that you won't feel that texture because it wasn't as raised or on there, but you can pretty well gauge that it's a linen. And then this is another linen, and this one is probably the most typical I see, is something like this. It's got the blue, the 5th color. It's got a little thing down here, but it has a white border around it. A lot of people get linens with the white borders confused with the white border period. And this is a linen, so you got to differentiate your white borders. And I did a video on white borders on how to differentiate them. They are a little elusive in their technical specs, but linens are pretty cut and dry. This one I can feel the waffling texture on it. It's an unposted card, but there you can just feel the cotton and the rag count in the cards on there. But this is 40 Winks Motel. It's got a sign. This will sell. But if you look at the cars, they kind of look cartoonish on there, and that's why they frown on the linens, because it's not a true photo that's like a chrome or a real photo postcard. But they, have a divided back on the back, address and correspondence on there. But linen cards, let's check and see what the prices are for linens. So I went out and looked at the sold high again on eBay. I just sorted anything that sold in the highest ones, and I picked out the best ones I could find that give us a good example. So the first one here is Kansas City, Missouri. It's an Allied Van Lines 6049. It's got advertising on there, it's got transportation, it's got a truck, it's got a little inset. $60 plus $2.50 shipping for a linen card, and people don't like them. Then the next one is what they call a large letter postcard, large letter. And there's actually a video coming up that I'm doing on the large letters. There is some pretty expensive large letter postcards out there, and I'm going to, in that video, show you how you can check those real quick just to make sure if they're one of those. Don't have to have any special skills, just got to be able to read and look at a picture. That's how easy it'll be. I'm still putting that one together a little bit. But this large letter postcard sold for $60 plus $1 shipping, so $60 for a linen card. And then the bottom one is kind of like that motel one. That's another $57 plus $1.50 shipping for linens. And look at that blue on there. That's what the key is, the vibrant colors of these linens. So, if you get something special like this, go out and do the comps, look at them, and go high and see if they'll take. But then here we go again with the extremes. Here's the sold lows. This one is Tupper Lake, New York. Kind of a bland colored card, not as vibrant. Went on an auction for 16 cents. Another one, linen postcard, Myron Taylor or something, 25 cents. These were all auctions, by the way. And then Pioneer Town, 25 cents. So there wasn't anything special in those cards, but those are low. But if you look at that van that I put up before, the Allied Van and the transportation, a large letter, and that little drive-in, those are what you want to look for. Stuff like that, that's going to pick out there. These other ones were more view cards, linen. So it's going to, the price is going to go down because it's a linen, because of the majority of the collectors don't do linens. And also there's really nothing as much going on in those as the other ones. So it's really about the subject, the scene, when it was done, who did it, etc. So if you can figure those things out and then go out and check and see what era that it's in, it'll help. And I always like to look at the listed out there. And this caught my eye, and I did a little something different in this video than I did before in the other ones, because I wanted to show the extremes of listing postcards and some people's idea of what these cards are worth. So here is the Washington Monument at night, $88. So I said, let me see if I can go out and find this is a common card. I've seen this card many times. These night scenes do really well, by the way. This will probably sell, but not for $88. Here's the same card with a different scan. It's the same card for $5. So what's the difference between these two? Why did they put $88 and $5? I think the $5 is probably more in line than the $88. What do you think? Then I did the same thing with the Mark Twain Bridge, Memorial Bridge. This is a kind of a blown up view, and here's the other one I found. So the first one they wanted $80 for, plus $4.50 shipping, and then another one is $4.75 for the dollar, so $5.75. I think the $5.75 is more in range because this is just a bridge, it's a view card, and it's a pretty common card. I went out and found a lot of these cards, different views of the Mark Twain Bridge. It's not that unique unless there's something special with this card. I didn't do that much research into it, but look at the difference. $80, $5. And then the same thing below here. This is a church, and you can tell it's a linen almost with the blue and the bright red. Probably wouldn't even have to feel that card, but I always do. They want $80 for that, plus, or $79 plus $4.50 shipping. It's probably these are probably the same seller. It's probably not selling postcards, just my opinion. And then I went out and found, I think it's the same church. I didn't find the same view of this card, but I think it's the same church, Hendersonville, and the other one was Henderson. So $1.25. So from $80 to $1.25. That's why by using comps in the postcard world, a lot of people would say, oh, I got an $80 card here with this monument, night scene of the Washington Monument. I'm going to put it up for $90. No, you got to go out and look at what's listed out there too. You got to, so you basically take and you throw out the highs, you throw out the lows, and you look at the average. Your extremes you want to get rid of, then look at the average and see what it is. If I know a card is between $3 and $8, $6, that goes up for $4.55. They'll average out. And stuff like that, but most linen cards are going to fall into the lower category. But if you get those drive-ins, that van, the subject, the scene, that's what you really want to look for in postcards. What's going to grab those people's attention? And then make sure you get it in the titles. Those titles of those cards, let me just put that back up here. The title, Kansas City, Missouri, right up front. The company, Al Lentz & Son, Allied Van Lines. A good scan of the orange, the truck, the red, the inset. All that helps to sell that. The Florida, the large letter card. I would have probably blown that up a little bit more, but that's a nice picture. Greetings from Florida, vintage linen card. I would probably took the word vintage out and put large letter in there. But they still sold it. So people were looking for Florida. They were looking for linen on there. And then you got Jack's Auto Seat Cover Drive-In. Drive-In. And look at that picture, that scan. Colorful, nice, right up front. Got that blue car there, got the blue sky. $57. So that's what's going to help sell your special cards. And then they priced it in a price that sold. And these weren't offered, these were auctions. Two of them were auctions, the two bottom ones. And the top one was a buy it now. So that's what you want to do to push your cards. It's not all price. People will pay for a good card if it meets what they're looking for. But that's linen cards. There's not much to them. They just got that red count. How you can tell again is just feel them. If they got that waffle texture, check out the colors, the blue, the fifth color, and they're not white borders. They're linens, and their linens were made before this. They're not really linens. They should be in that time period. Those are the technical specs. But do your best guess. If you're not for sure, leave it up to the collector is what I always recommend. Or ask questions from somebody. But a lot of times people say, I'm not for sure it's a linen. They pretty well got to feel it. So, but I will pick up linens and I will list linens. I kind of like the linens and the chromes. That's where I fall into. I might be a little bit out there, but I'll sell them. And they do sell. Linen postcards. Who knew? Okay, let me get into the rest of these cards that sold. I only got a few left here since the 30 of the cards out of the 45 were the boats. Again, it was a $260 day for because of all the cards that sold, and it was not bad. I sold another one of those naval ship covers, and these are the cancellations that were on the ship is what it is. This is the Tripoli LPH 10. So this sold for $455, and that'll go into a larger sleeve, a first day cover sleeve, and a larger envelope because I don't want to squish it and stuff like that, but they paid $455 for those. And to be on that, I sold another one of those. This is a 3.5 by almost 6 inch, 5.5 inch, 6 inch photo of the Indiana BB 58. And these are just photos I got in with those postcards. And they have the names and everything and the dates right on the back. So they're really easy to list. And they sell for $855 free shipping. And that'll just go in one of those envelopes because these are called rigid photo mailers from EchoSwift. Best envelope right here, 6.5 by 4.5. Right now they're kind of out of stock and they're kind of expensive, and but rigid photo mailers. So why not? I'll mail a photo in these. Now if they buy a lot of the photos, which I had a gentleman do, then I'll wrap it up nicely and it'll be first class. But then here, now this looks like a linen card with the blue, but it's not. This is actually a white border card. So that's when you get in there. And this is Cago Lake, Seneca Falls, New York. What sold this card? It's got a boat on it. It's got a lake. Unposted, $4 to $5. Canyons, Zion Canyon, Zion National Park, Utah. Just a few. Got some lady right there looking down into the canyon. A lot of people wouldn't list this type of card. There's just a view card. There's a lot going on. It's a good card stock, good picture. Unposted. It's got a good description on the back. So someone went on vacation or did something. So $4 to $5. Now this one, I remember listing these cards. I got a bunch of these art cards. This is a shaman, a medicine man. Pretty neat, huh? If you look at him, it kind of looks like a Mandalorian from Star Wars. But that's the shaman. Sold for $455. It's a chrome card. It's from a museum, Ohio Historical Society. But really neat card. Kind of stuck out when I saw the solds. So shaman, $4 to $5. Sold another naval ship. This is the USS Kentucky. It's one of those prints. And this one's cut a little different, so it might not go in the continental sleeve. It might have to go into a 5x7. But it still will fit in the envelopes. George Washington Patriot cards. I have a video about understanding patriotic cards. And now at an auction, when I got in there, I kind of paid up on these cards. And they don't sell well. I don't know if it's George or just me. But this is embossed. I don't know if you can see the embossed a little bit. It's a light emboss. But it's George Washington at Valley Forge in the winter. That sold for, I think, like $6. I had to price those up a little bit because I paid up at them in an auction. So you always want to, if you pay up for a card, you want to make sure you raise your price a little bit. And then I only got 3 left here. So let me go ahead and finish these up. And I'll get into viewer comments. This is like a B. Alton company. Invites you to look at their shops. Somebody knows B. Alton. I just took what was on the back and used it in my title. It sold $4 to $5. Sold another ship, USS Wakefield. Another one of those prints, and this will fit into a continental sleeve. $4 to $5. And the last one of the what sold is another cover, and this is the USS Ganymede AK-104, and this was 1946. So this is a ship right up there. Put these up. These are easy to list. It's naval cover, USS Ganymede, space AK-104. space 1946. That's all I have to put into the title, because people can see this also in there, and there's a special category in eBay for that. Now that won't ship eBay standard envelope. Those will go out with a stamp and a label and my risk for that, but it is free shipping. But that's 45 cards sold. I had 30 of those 3 ships to one gentleman in the United Kingdom. If you're not selling international, you're missing out. I would absolutely do it to Canada, especially. But I sell all over the world. I do have exclusions. If you go into my store, SMPostcards.com, will take you right into eBay store and bring up one of my listings. You can go down at the bottom and in the shipping tab where it has description and then shipping, you can see the exclusions that I don't ship to. So if you want to build your international, you can actually copy that and just go in and click and set up your business policy or your shipping rules to exclude those. Those are, I probably stole them from somebody else, and I've added to them over time if I've had problems. So those are what I exclude. I do ship all those directly. I don't go through the GSP, Global Shipping Center and stuff like that with eBay. On there I pack them up directly, because the cost to sell a $4 or $5 postcard and do all that stuff, it gets them there. But I can't remember last time that I had a card not make it international or a refund. I even sell toys directly. Up to 4 pounds I ship them directly on there. I don't use the GSP and stuff like that, especially to Canada. I sell a lot of postcards to Canada, lots. And the United Kingdom and Australia is probably the next ones that I send a lot to. Especially a lot of the naval ones have been going over there. But that's what sold. I was happy with that day. Now let me get into the viewer comments. Every video at the end I grab a couple comments from emails, videos. I think these came from the videos. But the first one was from Reptarman7. I think that's a Reptarman7, if I'm saying that right. But he uses the Bags Unlimited boxes with the divider for stereo views by turning the cards sideways. So he saw the video where I was talking about the table probably, and with the boxes. And these are the boxes. These are pretty standard boxes, 6x4. But he's saying that those stereo views where you put them in those old time wooden things and it has 2 pictures and it kind of looks 3D, he'll take these boxes and he puts them sideways. So, be creative. So he can use them for postcards, and he can also use them for stereo views by putting them this way in the boxes. Thanks for that tip, Reptarman7. Reptarman7. Then the next one is from Grotto Deals. Thank you for the video, Mark. You're welcome. Really appreciate the educational component to the content. What sold videos are great, but niche content about cards is very useful. Happy holidays. When I first started putting these videos together, I did a lot of different things and just seeing what I wanted to do. Also, I think about the editing. I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours doing editing. So I try to make it where it flows. And the what solds are good because it shows the variety of cards to look at. It's not more about the dollars or the number of cards, it's the variety. Who would know I sold a shaman? So next time you go out and you see a shaman medicine man, you know I sold one. Or linen cards, you know that they don't get top dollars, but you see one with a van or transportation or a drive-in, what card are you going to pull? That's why I do the what solds. And then I get into special topics just so people have a knowledge of those cards. And I like the viewer comments because it kind of gives an improv and let me do stuff like this. So I kind of mix it up instead of just what sold here, what sold here. It was boring to me on there. But I appreciate the comments, and happy holidays to you as well. Now the next one, I kind of got a longer response to this one. But you always need, I'm not a tax person. I can just tell you what I do and my thoughts about it. But you always want to make sure you talk to a tax person, a CPA, or if you do your own taxes, that you understand what it's all about. Especially going into 2022, they'll be giving 1099s out for anything over $600 in sales. So you want to check all those rules on there. And I pay quarterly taxes. I send a check to the IRS every 3 months. I estimate what my profit will be for the year, and me and the CPA, we just divide it by 4, and I send that in. And so at the end of the year, if I overpay, I get the money back. If I underpay, I pay a little bit more. But that's self-employment tax. If you read it, it just makes it easier, so I don't have to worry about it. And I put that money away every month. At the end of the month is when I do my figures, and that's what I do. But Thrifty Gal Collectibles asked the question, if you sell a card that you've had a couple of years, do you carry those inventory, cost of good dollars, year to year? So I only expense out cost of goods sold when I sell the card. So if I've had a card for 4 years, 5 years, and it sells today, I know what I paid for it. I have a list of all that. I'll only expense it today. I don't expense it when I bought it. So there's two different methods, I understand, of doing that type of accounting, but you need to check with your tax person. One's accrual method. Deduct the cost of goods sold when you sell the inventory. That's basically what I do, is accrual. And the cash method. Deduct the cost when you buy inventory. A lot of resellers do that. They'll go out and buy $2,000 worth of stuff, and they'll just expense it, and when it sells, you can't expense it again, or you're double dipping. Now, if you're doing one way or the other, work with your CPA. So you can't go out there and expense it in 2021, the $2,000, and then in 2022 you change over to accrual and then expense it again. You're double dipping. So they don't like you changing the way you do it. I think the accrual method gives you an accurate picture of what's going on in your business. As you sell it, you're expensing it out. If I went out and bought a $2,000 lot of cards, it's going to take me 3 years to sell, and I expense that all out this month, I'm probably going to be in the hole in there, and it doesn't really tell me my true picture. So that's why I kind of like that. It does save time, and some people aren't number people. I'm a numbers person, so it doesn't bother me to do that. But that it's just different how you want to do it. But we talked about the linen cards. A lot of the linen cards I see are comic cards. Now there is some chrome comic cards and stuff, but you'll see a lot of the comic humor cards from the day of the 50s, before that, is the linen cards. But are they sellable? Do they really sell? I see a lot of people just going in and read them and look at them, get a giggle, and move on. But I did a video about comic cards right here to tell you a little bit more about what to do when you see those cards. A lot of new postcard sellers think they are really big sellers, and this will help you decide what you want to do with those, this video. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.